How's it going, anybody and everybody who might be watching? This is Alex T Zombie with another redstone tutorial. Today what I have for you guys is going to be a tunnel bore for the Bedrock edition of Minecraft. Before I get into the showcase, as always, I need to give some credit where credit is due. First and foremost, I want to give a quick shout out to Kairu. Super intelligent individual when it comes to flying machines. I've been trusting them for 4 years now. This engine comes from a tunnel bore that they built for ancient debris, and I adapted it here for the diamonds. I also want to give a quick shout out to First Dan Josh. When I was doing research on existing tunnel bores, they were the first one that caught my eye, and I realized that a smart way to go about it is to stagger the machines in order to make sure that they can be as close together as possible horizontally and then not blow each other up. So that's why you'll notice that the two machines on the left and right side relative to where I'm standing are pushed forward more versus the one in front of me here. And finally, I want to, I guess, give a shout out. I don't know if they're the ones who designed of the tunnel bore or the concept behind it. I don't know if they're the ones responsible for finding it, but regardless, the video that I saw it off of was Oink Oink. This design here, I'm sure some of you have probably even seen it before. It's a one cell design, or I guess one TNT launcher design, where you guys will notice the dispenser dispenses the TNT facing into the debris, but because there's a block on top of it and there's an anvil here, what ends up happening is the TNT kind of aligns itself right here pretty nicely. And the reason I settled for this concept as opposed to the ones we're used to where the TNT is blown up a couple blocks away from the wall is because I realized that, or I was talking to somebody on my server. I mentioned that I was going to make a tunnel bore to catch up to the amount of diamond ore that they have, and somebody else said that they've built a tunnel board before and they always end up breaking the resources before you're able to collect them. So when I ran into Oink Oink's video, I realized that this would actually solve that, because if the TNT goes off right against the wall here, what ends up happening is it only reveals one layer of stone at a time, so it makes it less TNT efficient, but in the end we end up with avoiding the problem of diamonds getting collected or broken before I get the chance to fortune them or hit him with silk or whatever your preference might be. Before I move on and show you guys the materials that you're going to need to build this machine, I do want to give you guys a couple of disclaimers. If you're not already aware, we are playing on the Bedrock edition of Minecraft. What this means is that realms, most servers, and by default single player worlds are tied at a simulation distance of 4 chunks. What this means is that it is possible for you to build the machine too wide, and then in the end certain sections of it won't be loaded, or one end or both ends won't end up getting loaded. So in order to avoid this, I would recommend maxing out at 15 TNT cannons. So that would be the one in the center and then 7 to each end. You could probably go a little bit higher, but 15 is a good number where you don't have to worry about any type of chunk alignments. As long as you follow the machine along the center here every time that you set it off, then it will load every end of it. The next thing is that we don't have any TNT duping on the Bedrock edition of Minecraft, so this means that we have to feed the machine with TNT in order for it to actually function. Now, I did run a couple numbers. If we have 15 cannons or 15 dispensers to fill up, this is going to equate to 145 stacks of TNT. That's equivalent to 27 chokers of gunpowder and 22 chokers of sand. So do keep that in mind. The bigger you go with it, the wider you go with it, yes, you're gonna mine out more area, but it's gonna get more and more expensive to fuel it every time that you add an extra TNT cannon to it. So when it comes to the machine and the materials, it's really up to you how wide you want to make it. Make sure you try and build it at a reasonable width for your playstyle and how many materials you have that you're able to make way with. So finally, getting into the materials, this top row right here is the brain of the machine, or the engine, I should say. I do want to show you guys really quickly that it is possible for you to switch out the block that you use to activate it. So right there I had a fence gate. You could also do a bell. The bell, you have to make sure that it is attached to the observer there, so you can set it off and make sure that it gets dragged along with the machine. The other thing you could do, you could also do something like a trap door. So that's just a little bit of a preference thing I wanted to show you guys real quick. What the tinted glass represents is that it can either be glass or regular solid blocks. It's up to you what you make it. As long, in this sense, as long as it isn't a immovable object like obsidian, it'll work. So wherever you see me placed into glass, that's what that stands for. It could either be glass or a solid block. But if you ever see me place glass or quartz specifically, then that means that those blocks have to be glass or quartz. But in today's tutorial, we're actually not going to be making use of any of these guys, so really it's up to you how you go about the materials. So moving on, this second row is for the two arms connecting the middle cannon to the two adjacent to them, and then the last row is for the materials that you're going to need for every arm that you add on to the machine. So if you were getting two arms on every end, one to the left and one to the right, you would take double this plus the materials that you need for your cannons that you choose on. So I did give you guys a couple different options when it comes to the cannons. We have the cheapest version here, which is a single dispenser inventory for housing all the TNT and setting it off at the same time. And then I have one that adds a chest, and then one that adds a double chest. Pretty self-explanatory. This is the one with only one dispenser, this is the one with one chest, and then these are the materials for the one with a double chest. Getting started with our tutorial, what's going to happen, you're going to make your way down to negative 54. This is to ensure that we're low enough to find a lot of diamonds, but we're also high enough to avoid the lava pools that we're going to be running into. After you do that, you're going to mine out a 20 by 17 by 5 blocks tall volume, I guess. And what you're going to do, you're going to make your way over to the smaller of the sides, and then you're going to start at the corner. You're going to count in 8 blocks. You're going to go up with a honey block like this, then you're going to make a little bit of a upside down L shape, I guess, and then you're going to also move forward like this. We're going to place a observer facing upward. Again, I like to use a bell here just because I like the idea of it going off and then setting off the flying machine for us. So I'm going to use a bell. You guys can use anything you want. And if you want it to look a little bit nicer, you can also add a trap door back here in order to push it along and make the build feel that much more smaller. From here, what's going to happen, you're going to start by adding a slime block facing upward, a regular piston facing forward, a sticky piston facing back here, and another sticky piston facing back right here. You're going to go up like so, and then place a redstone block like this. So this is actually the brain, or the disregarding this sticky piston, this is actually the entire engine right here. Future me here, make sure you add a regular piston here to move the entire engine forward. So this extra piston that we're adding is actually for the arm that we're connecting to it, the attachment. So what's going to happen here, you're going to have some slime blocks like so with a observer, and then piston, you're going to place a slime block right here. From here, what we're going to do, we're going to start by placing a observer facing forward on the side of that slime block like so, with a regular piston on its face, and then you can extend these a couple blocks, and then the same on this end. So the general rule of thumb is that the regular pistons are placed 6 blocks away from each other, or with 6 blocks of space in between each other. Another concept that you can follow to make sure that you do it properly is that the slime blocks always have a block of space in between them and the wall, making sure that they won't try and drag the entire wall along with them. And the same thing over here, you're just going to place a regular piston like so. We're going to need a way to power those pistons, so we're going to place a regular piston behind them so that they can activate the pistons like so, and then push our flying machines forward. From here, what's going to happen, it all depends on where this first ancient debris goes in the middle, and that depends on which cannon you want to settle on. I'm actually going to go ahead and build the more expensive one of the three, which is the TNT cannon that has a double chest attached to it. So the way this one's going to work, you're going to start off by counting out 4 blocks like so, with a block of space in between the piston and this flying machine. Then on the 4th block, you're going to go down by 1, and this is where your debris is going to go. On top of the debris, you're going to want a anvil. Make sure it's facing perpendicularly to our dispenser. From here, what's going to happen, you're going to stand on top of this guy. You're going to place one of these. then one of those like leading into it as well. On top of these guys, this is where we're gonna place our chests. Now you can connect the two chests like this if you want, but once they start moving, they're actually gonna disconnect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and face him just like that, making sure that we don't get any ghost chests. From here, what's gonna happen? We're gonna go back here. We only need one block of slime or honey to push the entire machine forward, and then we need a block here and a block here. Lastly, with an observer to power our dispenser, and that's actually the entirety of the flying machine here. But the ones on the outside are going to get a little bit more complicated, and this again depends on where you have the first ancient debris. So what's going to happen, you're going to start off by counting out 6 blocks, and then from here you're going to count another 6 blocks forward. So in total, this line is 7 blocks in this direction and 6 blocks in this direction. And finally, here is where our ancient debris is going to go. And notice that it is 2 blocks away from the wall, which goes back to my original point that whenever the flying machine moves forward by 1 block, the TNT is going to land here where the ancient debris is going to be next, and then it's going to have only 1 block of space away from the wall. In other words, it's going to be right against it, and we're going to only reveal 1 layer of blocks at a time. We can also make sure that we align the second ancient debris properly, but luckily we already have the first one in place, so this one's a lot easier to locate. And you can also use the concept that it has to be 2 blocks away from the wall. So then we can go ahead and remove all of these marker blocks that we were using to locate them. And now from here, we can go ahead and copy the flying machine over. So from here, we can't just go ahead and place blocks pushing forward like this, because that will exceed piston push limits. The only time this wouldn't exceed piston push limit would be if we built the smallest of the 3 TNT cannons I showed you guys. So what we're gonna have to do, we're actually gonna have to build an extra mini flying machine here that's gonna act as a, I guess, junction between the arm, and I don't know how to explain it. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna start off by removing those 2 blocks. We're gonna place a regular piston facing forward into this slime block, and then finally just an observer behind that guy, and that's actually going to complete it for us. So now this kind of resets the piston push limits, meaning that these 11 blocks, or no, 11 blocks don't end up, reaching piston push limit rather quickly. And then same idea over here, you just got to bring it all the way out. Once you get here, you just get rid of that block and then do that, and now our machine is actually ready to go. The only thing we're missing inside of these guys is just a little bit of TNT. You'll notice for a while this one won't really be mining anything. So what you can go ahead and do is you can remove the TNT from that one until it gets 2 blocks away from this wall, and then you can add it back in. Now you do want to keep an eye on it as you're moving forward. One, if gravel falls on top of here, it could have a good time breaking our machine, so we want to be wary with that. And the same thing with water, or if there's a little bit of a lava pocket somewhere, just keep in mind whenever that happens. From here we can just test it a couple times until this center module reaches 2 blocks away from the wall. I did kind of mess up here a little bit. I pushed it 1 block too close, but this isn't terrible. What you can do, you can just add a block of TNT here, remove this block temporarily, and it's going to set off the observer, and now it'll be 2 blocks away from the wall, similar to how these 2 others should be as well. Of course, place that block back, make sure you do that, and now you can fuel this guy with its own set of TNT. So you'll notice now we've reached lava. You don't necessarily have to get rid of it, but what you can do if you really want to, you can just flood it with water, and it'll make a path for you to be able to walk on now without having to do any clearing. And you'll notice that our bell or activation lever, whatever, is actually above wherever the lava is. It just about flies over it, so you don't have to worry about ever clearing any type of lava. So now you're free to just take it as far as you want, and whenever you end up revealing resources, of course, go ahead and mine those up before you push the machine forward again. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering how to extend the machine. So I showed you guys how to start off with 3, and now I'm going to show you what you want to do when it comes to adding any extra cannons to it. So first off, you're going to need space for it. So however wide you made the first 3, you're going to add 7 to that. So I believe instead of it being 17 now, it's going to be 24. And if you're doing the same thing on the other side, that's another 7. So it's going to be 31 by 20 by 5 blocks. So you're going to need an extra 7 blocks of space every TNT cannon that you're adding is what I'm trying to say. And what you're going to do, you're going to take a sticky piston facing backward like this. And then you're going to do a little bit of a wraparound like so. And then these, you're going to extend it out so that, again, it's 6 blocks in between every regular piston. We need a way to activate this guy, so we're going to place an observer facing forward like so. And then, again, wherever your ancient debris is, you're going to count over 6 blocks. And then another 6 blocks. If it's the one on the inside, you're going to go forward. If it's in the one on the outside, you're going to go inward or backward, whatever. And then this is going to give you your ancient debris. Another way to look at it is, you just align yourself with the piston and then look over to the other modules. Make sure that the ancient debris are all aligned with each other. So as you'll notice, these are all in line with each other. And then from here, you just build whatever type of cannon it is you had selected on, and now your flying machine is ready to go. This one is missing a block here to push on. Because I started off with a double chest TNT cannon to begin with that's forward long, and I built the smaller cannon of the 3, meaning that I ended up needing to add an extra block back here just to push it forward. But if we go ahead and give this guy a little test, all of the modules get pushed forward. This one didn't get pushed forward because I did forget an observer behind it. So all you have to do is just set up this observer, and now you're free to do what you're gonna do. If you guys enjoyed, please remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, all those stuff and things and thingamabobs, and you know what I'm saying. I think I covered everything. If you guys have any questions, again, comments section down below. In case I never see your wonderful faces again, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your lives. Until next time, it was Zombie.